Hello, everybody. How are you today? I was like, I didn't see the little symbol. I forgot to change it. So then I was like, oh, you change your robot. So it's fixed now. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Bedlam Beyond Mental Illness. With your hosts, Randi-lee and Renata DeCarmen. And you need to get in here.
This chair sliding, and
I know.
I'm sorry.
And I'm fairly certain my floor is uneven.
Yeah, probably eventually I'll be like
Yeah.
sliding that way. It's okay.
It's a thing. So today Renata's done the research. Yay!
Such as it is. It's pretty rambling research, and I have a headache today, so it's probably going to be a kind of a rambling presentation.
Whatever.
So, but whatever. It's a really interesting topic, so I'm sure we'll go back to it.
Right, and that's the key, is the interesting topic.
Yeah,
so
it's fascinating.
It's about CPTSD.
Yes. Complex
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah. A lot of it stems from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
but that can be a totally different topic as well.
Yeah. So this specifically is the window of tolerance.
Yes, window of tolerance, which refers to, I'm going to just read it. The range of specific emotions or physiological arousal a person can tolerate before becoming dysregulated. So some people's window of tolerance is like this. Some people's is like this. I was just reading somewhere, and I forget where, sorry. She's a psychotherapist, and she was saying that oftentimes therapists will mistakenly, when they're treating somebody who has CPTSD, they will work with them on coping skills or like mindfulness or practicing gratitude, whereas this therapist believes what should be worked on are strategies to expand
the window of tolerance.
So to kind of sit in whatever, sadness, whatever shitty feeling you're feeling, and then learn how to expand your window of tolerance.
Yeah.
Not that I know what that means either, but again, we can delve into that.
I kind of see what she's going from, like what side, because like when I did therapy before the trauma therapy, it was very different, and it obviously did not really do much for the trauma side. That's why I had to go back to therapy and do a whole friggin' big session long on the trauma side.
I wonder if she's kind of sort of talking about a version of exposure therapy.
Oh,
like you expand your tolerance by, you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to look into it because I think it's really interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I have a question.
Oh, I have an answer.
Why are we hearing or seeing so much about trauma and PTSD these days? Do you think? Why do you think? Because really it's everywhere, right?
I think, well, multifold answer here. One, social media. Yeah. Everybody likes to talk on it.
Yeah.
All the time. Number two, people are just becoming more aware of it. And number three, this is going to be real controversial. It just popped into my head. So previously, we were constantly kind of at war. We were there was constantly outside sources causing trauma to like the country as a whole, right?
Like on a large scale.
Now not to say wars don't exist, like the whole Russian-Ukraine thing or whatever,
obviously.
But it's not as it wasn't world wars, right? It wasn't, oh my goodness, my brother just got shipped off. Am I ever going to see my dad again? Like it wasn't that.
Like generational
trauma from that kind of, we're just going to draft everybody and send them off. Now it's a choice if you want it to be sent off. And so people are now, I think, starting to recognize trauma comes from other things. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Because trauma was only from war, which is how PTSD, got its thing. It's from war. Now it's like, wait a minute. Childhood can bring up trauma. Sexual assault can bring up trauma. Like all these other things. And now people are like, oh, we got to talk about this because there is way more to it. And it's
very individual because one person might experience something and it won't cause a blip. It can cause trauma for somebody else. We're all very individual, and our brains don't necessarily know the difference between what someone might say is real trauma and not real trauma. Like our physiologically, we experience trauma regardless of the source the same way.
Yes.
So yeah.
So I think lots of reasons.
Good point. We know more about than we used to.
Yes. Thank goodness.
And I mean, we recognize that trauma can have a cascading effect on so many aspects of our lives, which is probably why we've been forced to kind of look at it, acknowledge it, and look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sources, and I think I'll have more sources as I go on, but to begin with, mindfulness.com.
That's a good one.
National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, or NICABM.com.
Oh, yes,
We've used that a lot. Yeah. Mindfulness.com is a good.
It is a good one.
It's a good source. To begin with, Dr. Daniel Siegel, a psychiatrist, and the founding co-director of the Mindful Awareness Research Center at UCLA, defines the window of tolerance as the optimal zone of arousal for a person to function in everyday life. Yeah. When a person is operating within this zone, there you go. Within this zone or window, they can effectively manage and cope with their emotions. For people who have experienced trauma, it is often difficult to regulate emotions, and the zone of arousal where they can function effectively becomes quite narrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, because I'm a visual person, so I have my window. I have a beautiful window right there, right?
Yeah.
And you slide it up to get lots of fresh air in, and it's good, but you start getting cold. So you slowly close it. And it's like that window, you can't handle it, right? So the window gets smaller because you can't handle it.
Or even like a curtain over the window.
Yeah, with the sunlight, you can't.
Yeah.
That's for the visual people out there.
When a person is traumatized, it can be especially difficult for them to stay grounded in the present.
Mm-hmm.
So you've heard, and possibly yourself have experienced dissociation.
Yeah.
Because the past is so vivid and intrusive. Someone who is constantly living in past trauma is primed to detect threat and enter into a state of defense. Mm-hmm. That means they generally have a very narrow window of tolerance. They're always, that hypervigilance.
Yeah.
Always looking for the next.
Yeah.
The stress of a traumatic memory or a trigger may push them out of their window of tolerance every now and then. Even minor stressors can cause a client to dissociate, get angry, feel anxious, leading to states of what he calls hyper-arousal, the fight, flight, or freeze response.
Oh, yes.
Speaking only for myself, I spent a lot of time in the freeze response.
Yes, a lot of time in freeze. And then I would say flight would be the next one for me. And fight. And it's funny because people who know me but don't know me well, right? Like who just kind of acquaintance level, they'd be like, oh yeah, you would always fight.
They assume you're going to kick ass because of the kickboxing.
Yeah, no. When it actually came down to trauma related instances, freeze, flight, and then fight for me.
Yeah. When a client's nervous system suddenly kicks into person, says client because the doctor is talking about his own experiences.
Yes.
When their nervous system suddenly kicks into high alert, even when there's not a danger, it can be triggered by perceived threat, traumatic memories, specific emotions, and is a primary symptom of PTSD.
That's the hardest part, is because it's like sometimes you don't even know what the trigger is. And I was just talking to the tattooist yesterday, talking about this kind of thing. And
very open about himself and everything that he's going through. Yeah.
And we were talking about how PTSD sucks because it could be like I was saying, a memory, a sound, and then I was like, even a smell,
a look,
right?
The way a person says a word, it can be any little or any big,
right? And that's sometimes you don't know. Hardest part is that it can, like, the big stuff you tend to realize eventually anyway. It's not always, but the bigger stuff is easier to see.
Like with anything else,
right?
It's obvious.
You can see a giant boulder, but the tiny little pebble beside it, that's way harder.
Yeah.
But you step on that thing, that hurts your foot.
Yeah, man.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Same with the trauma, right? The big stuff, you can see it, sucks, but those tiny little things hurt more because you don't see it coming.
Exactly. So symptoms of like that hyper arousal can include angry outbursts.
Yeah.
General fear, anxiety, emotional overwhelm, panic, hypervigilance, tight muscles, stuck on. So it's difficult to form healthy sleep habits or to concentrate effectively. And then there's hypo-arousal, which is the freeze, the shutdown, collapse response.
That's me.
It can be triggered by feeling threatened, memories, feeling any kinds of emotions that you associate with that trauma. Which I don't know. Have you? I've done that a lot because of the, being highly sort of. I know it's an overused word, but I'm an empathetic person. I don't use the term empathic because I think that's overused, but I've always been empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I will sometimes lose those boundaries and experience something a little bit too heavily that you know what I mean? Just hearing about it or hearing somebody else talk about it.
So I'm the opposite. I don't have that at all. Like, people can talk to me about stuff and I'm like, wow, that might suck. But like, I don't have that same feel. Maybe that's the tism in me.
Maybe.
Could be.
Sure.
It could be.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand it up here in my head how that would suck. But unless I've experienced something similar, I don't have that emotional side.
That's interesting. It probably is.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely get what you're saying. When you're more empathetic, you would be triggered in different ways than somebody who is less.
A lot of people mistake an empathetic individual for being weak or, oh, you're sad all the time. No, I just feel things pretty heavily. Nothing weak about me.
Mm-hmm.
Been through a hell of a lot. Mm-hmm. And I've helped people through a hell of a lot. So that's an erroneous opinion as far as I'm concerned.
Because you're amazing.
What's that?
Because you're amazing.
Thank you. Okay. So a little bit about the hypo-arousal, the shutdown or collapse. Same kinds of triggers. Even a perceived threat can be enough to send a person into shutdown. Symptoms of this would include what we call depression, numbness, emptiness, flaccid body. This is when it gets really severe. Blank stare, inability to speak, complete dissociation. It's when a person has too little arousal as the result of an overloaded parasympathetic nervous system. It can impact sleep, eating habits, leaving them feeling emotionally numb, socially withdrawn.
Yeah.
Finding it difficult to even express themselves. So
that's hitting a little close.
I know, right? I can see the look on your face. Right? Some of this will, and some of this will make you think,
oh, damn.
Hey, shit, right? Or even think about people that you know.
Right, yeah.
Like I know all of my, especially my sort of adult working life, I have behaved in ways that have confused people, coworkers. It all makes sense to me now. Why?
Yeah.
But at the time, no. Right. So how can you come back to your window of tolerance from hypo-arousal? According to this, increase the energy in the room by standing up or switching chairs. Use breath work. Use cognitive techniques such as what are 3 things you see, feel, hear. Just kind of bringing you back to right now. Like even saying to yourself, it's Sunday. I'm in the kitchen. Like that kind of shit. Just bringing yourself back to where you were. How to come back to your window of tolerance from hyper-arousal. Same kinds of strategies. Using deep diaphragmatic breathing. Drinking from a straw. Meditation, yoga. Centering techniques. Using creative things to try to be mindful.
Okay.
Have you ever, for example, for me, I'm pretty bad at it, but like painting.
Oh, I love
painting. Right? Remember when you and I would do like some little crafting stuff?
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
We have to do that again.
Like I'm pretty bad at it, but I still really love it because of how I am forced to just focus.
Right. And you're just like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
So this is some information from the PTSD Association.com.
A question first?
Yes.
And I don't know if you have the answer if you looked this up, but you might be able to find the answer and tell us next time. When was the window of tolerance first discussed?
You know what? Why didn't I write that down? I did read about that, but I think there was so much information, and a lot of it was like, ping for me that I was just like, right. I was putting that in my notes, and so
Google it while you keep going.
Okay, I can find. We can find out easily. Yeah, it might have even been him, Dr. Daniel Siegel.
Probably,
but yeah. What is that? What does the graphic say? Does it say anything? Does it give credit to anybody?
I don't know. It's so tiny on my screen because I can't make.
And I didn't print it off, so I don't know.
Let's see.
I don't think so.
Talks about hyper-arousal, what it is. Oh, it's a beach. I want to go to a beach. No, it doesn't give us the
No.
year.
Okay.
You know, it's a thing, guys.
So PTSD is common, as we now know, and healing from it is possible. So here are some tips, techniques.
I've got it.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
At least the very first thing, I'm not looking too hard into it right now. The window of tolerance concept was coined by, like you said, Dan Siegel. 1999 book, The Developing Mind.
Excellent.
That is from psychologytools.com. So it's probably pretty accurate. 99, which I want to be like, oh, that wasn't that long ago, but that was 25 years ago. Why would that be old? Why?
But it's really not that long ago.
It wasn't. I remember in 1999.
Yep.
Because the world was going to end. 2000. Crash.
I went to a New Year's party that year when it turned into 2000, and you're supposed to dress like somebody from history, like a hero. So I was Gloria Steinem.
Oh.
And I don't remember anybody else was, but I was pretty awesome with my costume.
Awesome. I was at my uncle's, so I would have been.
You were young.
I was young. I was, what, 12? I'm gonna guess 12 real fast on my guessing scales. And we went to my uncle's house, which we did a lot. I fell asleep before New Year's. I probably fell asleep around like 11 because
I do that now.
And then I hear everybody, oh my God, oh, nothing ended. Okay.
I know, right? I know.
Sleep now.
Everybody was so panicked about
changing to 2000
computers. Yeah. Everything was going to shut down. Yeah.
Anyway,
it did not happen. Anyway, okay. So here are some tips, tools to help to sort of deal with and heal from PTSD. Get exercise. It's therapeutic, especially when it connects you to the present. So climbing is an excellent choice. And this brings me to when I was in my 20s and I did indoor rock climbing. And at the time I was very physically active, personal trainer certification and all that kind of crap. But climbing was not one of my fortes because, I'm 4'10" and very short-limbed, and you need it's nice to have long levers when you're trying to climb things. But anyway, I thought I just want to try it. I was pretty bad at it again.
So much fun though.
I remember at the time thinking, wow, it really, more than anything else I had ever done, and I was always on a quest to find that thing. I really focused. You had to.
You did.
Oh, you had to.
So much fun. I remember we used to go to Peaks. It's not there anymore though.
No.
Indoor rock climbing, which is so sad. There is an indoor, it's rock climbing, but it's not rock climbing. It's bouldering. Because you can go bouldering because you go sideways and up and down. Yeah. So it's not the tall like Peaks had. So it's fun. It's not the same.
Peaks is where I went back in the 90s.
I loved it there.
In St. Catharines.
Yeah. We went there on a bunch of different school trips. Loved it.
Very cool.
But yeah, climbing.
Yeah, you have to be 100% present or you're falling.
Exactly.
Even though you're indoors, you're attached to all these pulleys and
still
shit.
Though, you're trying to accomplish your goal of making
I don't want to fall.
Yeah.
Become aware of your triggers. So be on the lookout for potential triggers. Learn how to manage them. So don't freak out about the potential of them happening, and don't run away from them potentially happening. Just be aware of them. Increase your awareness to the first signs of any sort of anger, flashback, or anxiety so that you can reorient yourself before you get overwhelmed. Easier said than done, right?
All of this is easier said than done. I had to go and pay for a whole bunch of therapy to get anywhere with
yeah. and ongoing.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but for me, different therapists for different things.
Yeah.
Refrain from excess drinking and drugs. People processing trauma have a tendency to self-medicate, but this can complicate matters, as we know, by developing addictions. Psychedelics such as MDMA and ketamine are also used for potential benefits, but we don't know enough about them, I don't think. And some people will do a lot of marijuana to cope, but we don't know enough yet about what that actually does.
Yeah, I had somebody on the show talk about using, I want to say it was MDMA for helping her with her PTSD on the other show, the Ride or Die show. I'm trying to remember. It was a girl. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
What did she say?
She said it helped a lot. And it was in very small doses, and you did it under supervision, and So go back and find that episode to be under the list of PTSD ones. but I cannot.
And she did it for a certain amount of time.
I want to say she did it 3 times.
Like it wouldn't be long term at all.
No, not long term. It was like 2 or 3 times, very much under the eye of the doctor. Like there was a lot of different things that had to be in place.
Where do you remember where she was from? Like where she was able to do
States.
this?
I know it was in the States.
Where we live, it's small-ish, probably bigger cities, I would think, or the States where you would be able to do these things. Yeah.
Did you know we're a big city though? Like if you look at Ontario, we're pretty big city. Like even where you're from, it's a pretty big city compared. No, but if you think about Ontario as the whole,
having towns of 300 people,
yeah, there's a lot of smaller ones, but in this southern area here, yeah, he's just a bitty baby. Yeah. Andrew and I were thinking about that yesterday.
Yeah. Engage in activities that make you feel good about yourself. People suffering from PTSD are often full of self-loathing and feel undeserving of positive experiences.
Yeah.
So rebuilding a sense of self is important. Engaging in meditation, doing volunteer work that feels meaningful, anything that will rebuild your self-worth.
Like that.
Yeah. Process harmful memories with the support of a therapist.
Yes.
So, right. Therapy. I would recommend trying to do it yourself.
No.
Become mindful. Mindfulness training can be important in dealing with stress symptoms indirectly. It's a way to become centered on the present, to become aware of your body and the sensations around you.
Yes.
So learning mindfulness helps to mitigate triggers. But again, I probably would do that to begin with under supervision, just to make sure I'm doing it right.
I have still not captured the benefits of mindfulness yet. I'm still working hard on that one.
Yeah, it's a challenge for me too.
Yeah.
I usually have to do guided meditations because left to my own devices,
it's just
I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
For now, maybe I'll get better. It'll get easier. I don't know. For family members or friends of those who have CPTSD, educate yourself about it. Understand the problem and its symptoms. The entire family usually is affected on some level.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let them know they're not alone. A lot of sufferers perceive themselves as outcasts or like the only one, or something's really wrong with me.
Yeah.
You get therapy for yourself if you really feel like it's at that point.
Yeah.
For you or your kids, if there are any kids around. And negotiate time outs. So taking a short break can be crucial to helping everybody sort of cope. This talks about having a plan in place and not being afraid to initiate it. So say things are getting really, really dubious, stressful. If you and your partner, you and your friend, whatever your setup or scenario is, if you have a pre-agreed upon when it gets to this point, I'm just going to say this to you. And this means that I gotta, this means that I gotta walk away, and that walk away could be half an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week, like whatever you guys negotiate.
It could be 5 minutes.
It's absolutely whatever you decide. And
yeah.
I think anything is healthy.
I like that.
Yeah. So like I said, the research was rambling. I was kind of, because it's so fascinating to me, but also very personal. So for me, I was doing the reading and like trying to figure out what to suss out to share.
Right. There's so much.
But I was also kind of being taken into my own journey.
Yeah.
Of shit. So it took way longer than it needed to.
That's okay. Yeah. Stuff in life and things. Yeah. I like that.
So
window of time.
Definitely we can talk about it more. PTSD deserves more time.
Oh, for sure. Because we have to delve way back into the history of that. But window tolerance is an interesting concept.
Interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
I did have a therapist talk to me about that. And it's funny how you'll hear things and you'll be like, part of your brain, you understand the words.
Yeah.
But part of it's not resonating with you, so you don't really
you're like
associate it with yourself or think about it in terms of what does that mean for me. You just go, yeah, it's very interesting. And now I'm thinking, okay, I see why he said it to me. Now I understand.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that's that for
cool.
now.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
if you have any questions or you have an interesting topic that you want us to do, then obviously throw a comment down below. We'll take a look because we always need ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
Ideas are hard. Very hard. I kept sitting at the computer going, okay, I'm going to start my next research.
And then what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah, me too. Me too. I always have a couple on standby, but the other ones that I had on standby were like not interesting. I was like, what were you thinking, Renata? This is not
well, it's just
in any way.
Yeah. I have a list and I'm like, I'll just go to the list. I'm like, I don't want to look at any of these right now.
That's what it is.
Maybe another day
right?
I'll
That's
look
what
at
it
them.
is.
Like right now.
Yeah.
None of these look interesting. So. Anyways, be sure on Wednesday to join us again, Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern for the Right or Die show. And check out the merch store because 10% of the proceeds goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. And that is about it.
See ya.